हेलो गाइस आवाज आछ
आइरहेछ
ल ठिक छ म चेक गर्दैछु है अनि हामी चाहिँ इङ्ग्लिसमा बोल्नुपर्छ कि जस्तो लाग्यो यो एक दुईजना इन्डियन पनि छन् अनि तिनीहरूले पनि आउँछन् होला एकैछिनमा होइन सो म चाहिँ सेसन इङ्ग्लिसमा चाहिँ सुरु गर्छु अनि यतापट्टि यता के अरे युट्युबमा पनि एउटा लाइभ मैले गरिरहेको छु एकचोटि त्यो लिङ्क हेर त कति काम गरेको कि नै अनि त्यही अनुसारले म म्यानेज गर्छु
लिङ्क पठाइदिनु न
ओके च्याटमा पठाइदिनु
च्यानलको भन्दा मैले हेरेको थिएँ च्यानल
एकछिन म पठाइदिइहालेँ फेरि त्यो स्क्रिन गयो है फेरि एकछिन स्क्रिनमा यो गरेपछि हुन्छ स्क्रिनमा टुबो लाइभ गरिरहेको छु स्क्रिन त मजाले आएको छ नि होइन
आएको छ देखेको छु
ल ठिक छ क्लास अनाउन्समेन्ट भन्नेमा छ क्या एरो इन्च ठिक छ ल त्यसो भए म लिङ्क पठाइहालेँ होइन युट्युबमा जाने अनि यो च्यानलमा गएर लाइभमा गएर लाइभ चाहिँ भइरहेको रहेछ कन्ट्रोल गरेको एकचोटि यसलाई टेस्ट गरेर रहेछ यो कस्तो मैले च्याटमा पठाएको छु अनि मलाई लाग्छ क्लास अनाउन्समेन्ट पनि पठाइदिनुपर्छ क्या देख्यो नि होइन
ठिक छ राम्रै छ
उता राम्रै भइरहेको
देखिरहेछ त
ठिकै छ कुरम एकैछिन 8-9 बजीसम्म 9 बजीदेखि हो के अरे म यहाँ सर्टेन मेटेरियलहरू रेडी गर्दै गर्छु अनि सबैजना जोइन हुन्छ होला एकैछिन 5 मिनट जति कुरम अनि सुरु गरौँ ल ठिक छ अब आज भयो त्यसपछि भयो अनि यो पनि भयो एउटा यो क्लियरली देखेछ यो टेक्स्टहरु
अलिक जुम गर्दा ठिक हुन्छ
अलि जुम गरौँ अहिले
परिहरु गर्दा हुन्छ त
अझै
लगभग ठिक छ अब चाहिँ
go live गर्दा यताबाट आउँदो रहेछ यो पनि ठिक छ नि त होम भयो बुटक्याम्प भयो यसलाई चाहिँ म कन्ट्रोल एक्स गरेर यतापट्टि गर्नु पर्यो अनि त्यसपछि के छ अरु यतापट्टि हेरौँ है वेब एपीआई भयो त्यसपछि चाहिँ लगभग यति नै होला आजको लागि चाहिँ अनि अरु चाहिँ यसलाई चाहिँ म यस्तो गर्छु नि त कपी कन्ट्रोल गरेर यतापट्टि एउटा केमा खोलाउँ त्यसलाई ल ठिक छ हामी आउने क्रम जारी नै छ हैन मैले चाहिँ यसको लागि एउटा रियाक्ट च्यानलमा चाहिँ भर्खरै एउटा के राख्छु भन्दा यो मैले एउटा प्रिपेयर गरेछु कि मेटेरियल त्यो चाहिँ म राखिदिइराख्छु छु तिमीले त्यसमा गएर लिंकहरु यो चाहिँ अलि रफ स्केच छ यसमा ठिक छ ल यही हो यसलाई क्लोज गर्दै पनि हुन्छ होला ल ठिक छ यस्तो गर्छु ओहो छुट्याउनु रहेछ नि त। अच्छा कस्तो चाहिँ पारि फर्मेटमा आउँदो रहेछ। पेस्ट गरौँ, मोडिफाई गरौँ, भएन यस्तो त केही छैन। केही छैन, पछि पनि मिलाउँला। विल बी अन मिट अर डिस्कर्ड। विवेक तिमीले सुनिरहेछौ भने डिस्कर्डमै हुन्छ है। Okay, so I think the class will be, I'm sorry to announce, but we have to do it in English medium because some of the members are from India. And before starting the class, let's wait for some members to join. Let's wait for 2 to 3 minutes. Actually, the formal class starts from 9 p.m. for today, and I have prepared some materials here. If you guys can hear the sound, or if there are some technical or net issues, then you can let me know. Also, let me just connect my mic here. Hello, can you guys hear me? Mic, external microphone. Okay, can you guys hear me? I just want to make sure the sound is coming from my end. Hello, Manjit, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I think external microphone is selected. Okay, input device is external microphone. Speaker. Can you guys hear me? External microphone. Okay. Hello.
Yes, sir, we are listening.
Okay, then. I think I need to start the session for today, and others will join once the time, like once we reach our time. And I'm really sorry because I'm also not that fluent in English, but some of our members are from India, so they requested me to do the bootcamp in English. I think, and also it's a good practice because we will be talking in English in once we are in professional setting. So due to these reasons also, once I think communicating in English is essential, and I just want to show, I think, okay, so these are the members that we are starting in our bootcamp. So basically I want to start this bootcamp, or let's say this session, by just giving a general introduction of what we are going today, or what we are going to do today, and also about this work's schedule, what we will be doing for this week. And for this week we will be focusing on HTML, JavaScript, and CSS mainly. And for that we have also prepared a demo repository here. Actually it's a hello world repository, just to let participants to understand how the PR works, and how how to contribute on open source. So I think till now only 7 collaborators have just contributed on hello world repository. What we are trying to do here is trying to list the collaborators so that we will have a certain okay, so yeah, if the preview is paused, then please let me know. Okay, I will try to just refresh it or do something. If you are not, if you guys are having any technical difficulties, then also please let me know. So first of all, this hello world repository will help us to understand how how to raise a PR and how to collaborate on in a group. So this is how what happens in production level also. And talking about hello world repository, here is a certain guideline PR. Obviously you can see it in other resources also. For example, ChatGPT gave me this general guideline to
generate a PR, first you have to create an issue. Then the repository that you are trying to work, you have to first fork it on your own GitHub account. And once you have forked it on your GitHub account, then you have to clone that your fork version of that Git repository from Git clone. All these things are already mentioned in some blogs, or it's a industry standard, so we are just trying to follow it in our upcoming projects also. And so there is a remote version of the given repository. For example, if you are not seeing, then let me increase the font size also. Can you guys see the preview or not? Can you see it like
Yes.
yes, okay, yeah. Then so if you once you git clone the given repository, then you have to first align your repo, let's say remote and your local. For example, in this case here, ors45 github.com/ors45/hello world is a remote repo URL, and you have to clone it, and the same copy will be in your local, right? And you have to before you start working, you have to always make a new branch on what you are trying to work. So knowing about what you are trying to work, um, orally is good, because you have to give branch name accordingly. And also there are many standards on what to how to write a branch name, what kind of name to give to your branch. So this is also a different there is a guideline on other open source repo about it, but we haven't created yet because it will be more complex, and more things will be in the in for a simple thing to do. And then once you have created your branch, then you will try to work on the what you are trying to work, what issue you are trying to solve. This issue. So first you have to create an issue, which is always a number one. So based upon this issue, you will be so for example, issue is to also you have to also follow unit code practices. For example, you have to pick a specific issue to solve a specific unit problem. Do not mix 2 or 3 problem in a in a single issue, or try to make a branch for multiple issues. Just follow the atomic principle that applies in coding also. And once you have worked on your changes, you can always make sure the PR will not create conflict, or make sure just check it thoroughly, because once you push your code, it won't it will be recorded in your PR. And once you make changes also, then other collaborators will know what we have made changes. And this is where you can you will be let's say judged, or let's say your performance will be evaluated in your git push, what kind of code you are pushing. If you are pushing a certain code, and you are trying to cover it up with multiple commits after that, then it will be not good practice. So just try to make sure that your push is really it's not faulty, and make sure it passes everything. And on your remote, for example, let me show you on I will definitely show you all these things on a real repo also, but just let me quickly wrap up this. So once you create your pull request, then you have to definitely follow a different template for the given pull request. So I have also kept the template here, and just wait for your PR approval. And once your PR is approved, then it will be merged. So it's a general guideline to follow before you submit a PR. And I have kept template pr.md file. So I think most of you didn't understood about it, and if I check the pull request, you haven't followed a similar pattern in your PR. What you can do is just go to the code and copy this md version, and just uh, totally copy this all md content, and paste it in your pull request. And in your pull request, for example, if I go to while creating your pull request, in your pull request description, you have to paste that .md content. For example, let's see, I think some of you have followed that. and I think let me check for Skandesh. Then Skandesh also haven't done that. Let me check my. I think I should have followed that. I also haven't followed that. Then I think yeah. So so this is a template for a pull request in most of the open source projects. There should be some sort of description. There should be some sort of changes made. What changes I have made. And always why I'm prioritizing you guys to create issue is that you can connect your pull request to directly with the issue. And I have kept the URL of issue in my pull request description. Then it can show that add template and guideline. This is the issue that I've created in this repo. So, and what we can do is like I think from setting, or let's say there is a certain. Let me show you guys. Let me go to the same issue, and okay, so this is not the signed in account. Then what we can do is, once I close the pull request by connecting my issue from the pull request, then it will automatically close that issue. So this is also some sort of, it's also important for like managing your Git repo, and your like it plays some sort of GitHub actions in our project. So I have to mention what issue is this PR relating to, and also there are certain checklists that a PR someone who is sending PR must follow. So this is a basic just a basic guideline for how to write a PR and what template to follow for PR. And what we are doing in Hello World repo is just trying to mimic the same contribution guideline and template PR, so that we will be ready for our upcoming projects, and same guideline we will follow. And I advise everyone to just list your name here. It's for not for any purpose, but to learn about PR and creating issues. And yeah, this is something we are learning early, at very early of our bootcamp, before going to even web development and React concepts, because we will be keeping our core and we will be talking from using GitHub. So GitHub will be primarily where our project will stand. And yeah, so I thank you guys for joining. I have already started the session. It's yeah, many people are here, and I'm again sorry for conducting this our session in English, because some of us are from India, and they they recommended, or they suggested me to talk in English. And also I thought it will be better for me to practice. It will be better for me to practice in English, and also for you guys to practice English, because software development is primarily or worldwide industry, and who knows where you will be working with remote clients. Then obviously your English will be fluent. So we're just trying to do that. And let's move forward to our project section of our this week. So this week we will be focusing on web development only, and I will be circulating the information on GitHub, our Discord also, on our Discord channel, on what to do specifically for those members who are not present on today's bootcamp. But okay, so yeah, oh sorry, okay, sorry, I just missed one part. So in this Hello World repo, we have a certain faulty faulty practice. Like, for example, if I see if I see PR of, for example, it might be with anyone, but if I see PR of, okay, let's see, I think I'm not able to see that content, but let me just try once again. Okay, let me open it with my another account. Okay, and we will be able to see that. Let me check here. Okay, let me check this here. Let me check once again. Okay, it's not, I'm not able to see, but I will just describe you guys here. So what is happening with this repo is that we are trying to create, we are trying to update a single readme.md file, right? So for example, full stack Sherpa, like, created a PR based upon this readme, and we have 7 members in our readme, right? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. And full stack Sherpa just forked the repo, cloned it on its local, and added eighth member with his name. Then what's happening sometimes, is that at the same time, if 2 other members are adding on the same file, then it will create a conflict. So it's not a good practice, but for now we are just trying to update a single readme with multiple PRs, because because full stack Sherpa will try to add his name in 8th number, and Rajat Dabadi will try to add his name in 8th number, right? So one of the 2 PR must be cancelled. Did you guys got my point or not? If either I have to merge full stack Sherpa's PR, or I have to merge Rajat Dawadi's PR, because both cannot be 8 at the same time in given readme.md file. So this is a faulty practice that we are following at the moment in this repo. I hope you guys understood. If you guys didn't understood, then you can let me know on channel or right now also. But let's prefer our bootcamp to be less question and more presentation, and the questions will be followed after on, or let's say after completing the session. So just let me recap again. For example, a single readme.md file will be here, right? So from 1 to 7 there will be participants who are already listed in readme.md, but the 8th member is at the same time, in a given specific time interval, if 3 of the PR are trying to list their name in 8th as a 8th name, then everyone will be having either one of them must be approved and 2 will be cancelled. So that's not good practice, and we have to fix that. I think you guys can research on that, how to fix such a single file being worked on by multiple people at the same time. Or you can also see on other repos how such practice are being done. For example, if you looked on awesome or let's say there are multiple projects in GitHub, for example, awesome self-hosted. Okay, yeah. So this is also a same kind of repo where they are listing out some software, or let's say some service on a single readme.md file. And yeah, and at a given time there are multiple pull requests, though they all are closed at this time, but they are also following the same pattern, and we can check how they are doing this. Either it's from bot or like we need to check that. And I think yeah, not now, but in the days to come we need to figure this problem out. There is already one problem in our implementation, and it's up to you guys for initially. And if you guys can't find, then I might also come up with a better solution here. So let's move forward to our this week's project. So for this week we are planning to implement HTML or CSS and simple web-based application. Here I have given the name as Yantra Lite, and let me show you the code. And I know some, like most of the guys might be new in programming, but HTML and JavaScript and CSS based this is the project, and the code is given here. And let me just summarize in short detail. And but I don't advise you guys to primarily focus on this bootcamp session to learn about HTML or CSS JavaScript. We are just we will be discussing here about what kind of project we will do, and how to contribute unit, or let's say a small conceptual part there. And rest is up to you to understand the concepts. But let me just summarize here. There will be a heading section in HTML every time. There will be some other metadata, or let's say you know, a metadata section in HTML. There will be some body section. So, and also there will be closing tags for all this section, right? So if there is body, then there is a closing tag for body, and if there is header, then there is closing tag of header. So this is a basic you know, simple concept for HTML. And in HTML you can integrate your CSS code with, you know, this is a path for CSS code. Since we have our CSS code in the same you know, root directory, we are following /style.css. So, and obviously it will follow the link, rel, style set, this kind of pattern. I really advise you guys to, you know, follow references like let me see. So yeah, one, you know, better and one very effective resource can be W3 School, and it's really simple, it's really effective, you know, tutorial based resource where you can learn HTML. It's I'm giving this, you know, presentation right now, you know, for those guys who are very new in programming and who are just trying to learn. But I advise you to go in your free time, like through every section, just you know, just do, you know, interactively. The exercises are here are really simple, and it's a progressive, you know, approach. And yeah, since it's a React bootcamp, but we are focusing on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript for week 1. And yeah, you can see all sort of HTML elements here, all sort of, you know, how to integrate HTML head elements, and how to, all these basic things are available here. And also there is a special you know, form element in HTML, and this pattern will, you know, repeat in React also. So like React is just a wrapper for, you know, for example, someone wrote a React form component, then they will be just, you know, wrapping up this HTML form above React you know, React's code. So basically under the hood they are just using HTML. So we really need to understand how the HTML forms are working, or let's say how HTML in general will be, you know, working, in order to understand React more properly. For example, if someone wants to create a form, then you know, the form labels are really they are really so these are the form elements. For example, label is for writing the label, and this is really important for SEO, and you know, yeah, mostly for SEO, and mostly also for, you know, our CSS, or let's say for JavaScript integration in HTML. It's really important for that also. And also just follow the standard, and just follow what's, you know, given in W3 School, or let's say other resources also. And for our coming you know, weeks project, we are focusing on though we will be focusing on most of these things, but let's focus on HTML APIs for this week's project. And I will also show you a simple demo project I have implemented here. For example, if it's overwhelming, then let me just you know, describe you guys here in, you know, a bit more basic way. For example, there are elements, there are, you know, URL attributes, and a tag will have a certain hyperlink. You just go through it. And there are, you know, some elements for paragraph, there are some elements on how to integrate colors, there are also you know, some elements on how to integrate styling on your HTML, like is it an inline styling, or is it you know, style from a given file. Already we talked about you know, form. Also there are HTML elements for table. So just simple thing and really important things. There are also HTML elements for integrating iframe, you know, a lot of things. We have already covered a basic form you know, approach in HTML. And also there are multiple types of inputs. And one thing I forgot to mention, you know, is it there or not? But yeah, in these HTML elements, we will try to make it more accessible. For example, those in industry, what happens, industry practice, what happens is that we have to integrate accessibility in our code, and there will be accessibility level. For example, let me show you, is it here or not? But yeah, HTML accessibility. So not just for styling, not just for interactivity, but also for accessibility. For example, those people who can't see, they will use keyboards or let's say voice gestures to understand the HTML, right? So we also need to keep our HTML code more accessible. For that, I think we are quite aware of ALT tag in our image element. So why this is important is that it's supposed to give some description, not just for SEO, or let's say not just for our own practice, but also for accessibility purpose. And yeah, so these are few things why HTML is really important. And definitely it's important because it's a basic building block for web. So let's not take it that lightly, and let's try to understand HTML in more detail. I really advise you guys to go once again through this HTML W3 schools tutorial section. Also, another aspect for our this week project is CSS. I advise you guys to add some HTML, or let's say add some CSS. And if you guys are confident, then just add some JavaScript, or let's say script in your web app also. And what we are trying to do here is, for example, for this week, this is the home page for our can you guys hear me? Like, can you guys hear me, or I'm
Yes, sir.
okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then awesome.
Yes, we can. Awesome.
And is it becoming a bit difficult to understand, or let's say for someone who is really new in coding? How is Kundan? How are you like taking till now? Is it okay with you?
Yes, it's okay.
Okay, then yeah, fine. Let me just increase the font size here. And also, guys, please check that YouTube URL if it's streaming well or not, because for offline reasons I'm streaming there. Just let me know if the video is not coming proper. Okay, just let me continue here. So for this week, what we are trying to do is, it's just a random idea of mine, but if you guys are open to suggestion, then please let me know. On definitely you can raise an issue on Yantralight repo, or we can also talk on discussion section. But yeah, I'm hoping that you guys will be creating some issues and trying to send pull request in this demo HTML, JavaScript, or CSS based website. Let's say a project. What we are trying to do is, and it's open for all sort of things. First, someone can work on making this homepage a bit better. For example, you can align these two things on somewhere like centrally aligned, or whatever you want, or whatever you think it's better for this homepage, you can do that. Just make a simple someone and also let me tell you, for this small project, if someone is willing to do willing to work as a project manager, 2 to 3 or even 4 5, you can let me know on the channel section. I will write there. And also for upcoming knowledge transfer session, we are trying to do something new here. So I think project managers will be if someone wants to learn project management, and it will be also you can also write it in your in your CV, or let's say it will be a experience for you. You guys can, if
Taking one about the project manager.
yeah, I will. Okay, yeah, sure. Let me tell you. Okay, so if you are interested, then you can let me know, and we can have a different session. But also let me tell you everyone on this session. So here is a repo, right? Let me tell you in very detail. Here is a repo for demo web app. So in the issue section, project managers can create a new issue, and based upon the requirement number one can be make a home page aesthetic. You can create a new issue number one, make home page aesthetic, and in project section I think it will open or not, but there should be certain template here. It's not opening. Let me open from my other profile. Give me a second, okay? Just give me a second. GitHub. Can you guys see this? Okay, so I think it's not seen here. Let me. Okay, here it is. So for example, you can make your something the whatever the issue is, you can write the issue here, and you can link this project section with your actual repo issues, and you can also assign someone here. So if someone is willing to be project manager for this specific project, which will be is targeted to be for us, I think 1 week, we have to complete this by 1 week, then in issue section someone can take over, and um, 2 to 3 participants also can work on that, but I hope every work will be distributed to everyone. One can work on creating this homepage aesthetic. So depending upon your uh, experience, if you find this thing challenging, then you can work on this thing, okay? And one can and for each participants I have a single work assigned to you. For example, one can work on creating a back button here. For example, /bootcamp, you can have a back button here, and it will go to this main project section. So that might be a issue number 2, and project manager can update that accordingly in GitHub issue section. I mean, in this section, in GitHub issue section, you can just write title and description of the issue, and so one can do that. And another one can make this whole project SEO really SEO friendly uh, by just researching on what kind of SEOs practices are there in HTML or HTML, JavaScript, or CSS based websites, and you can just come to our code, and you can see if the meta tags are here or not, and if we are following there is a page title, is the HTML properly described or not. You can just follow, you can just integrate SEO patterns in all our HTMLs, and once the project are being upgraded, you can someone who is taking care of SEO, that you can update this code accordingly. And the issue 3 might be that. Issue 4 might be, you can have there is a concept of templates in web application. For example, we generally see if I go to AWS website, then in general website, what happens is that there will be a certain template that will be followed in all sort of page. So this footer and this header will be in all sort of web page. Even if I go to advertisement and marketing, then this template is being followed up. This footer, this get started, this header section, and all these drop downs are there. So this is a certain template, and this template will be a wrapper for all these pages. For example, I haven't kept this here, but the code will be, I think, very easily provided by ChatGPT, or let's say in Google also, and in there will be a certain template.html. You will be importing that template.html in our index.html, and you will just wrap that template on our all sort of all the other HTML pages. One can just take that responsibility, and you can just work on issue number 4. So I have a list of what can be done on this web-based application on 1 week, and I will try to keep it in the channel. And someone who wants to work, let's say if everyone wants to work as a project manager, then definitely you can create issues and try to assign yourself or who is willing to work on that particular issue, and we can move forward accordingly. Whatever you want to learn, you can just be engaging and you can do accordingly, so that it will be experience for you, and you can write in your you can show because it's a open, like open source project, right? So everyone can see your work here. It's a publicly available repo, and whatever issue you create, whatever pull request you write here, you can later on filter your only pull request and show it to your, or keep in your CV or show it to your recruiter, do anything with it. Yeah, moving on the next section for the web app for this week. What we are trying to do is, for each participants, I am trying to create a single page. For example, I have created a simple HTML, JavaScript, CSS based calculator here. I think everyone has done this project already, but yeah, obviously ChatGPT helped me to get this, but I have understood how it runs, right? So just for your learning purpose, you can do whatever with it on a specific HTML file you are working on. For example, in participants directory, there is a username directory here. In my case, South I have integrated 3 files: style.css, script.js, where I will be keeping my JavaScript code, and south.html is the simple HTML for calculator app that I'm following here. I haven't added any SVO or anything, just a simple HTML file I am integrating here. And obviously, uh, you guys just take it in terms of your what you want to learn, and I'm also going to show you what you can integrate here. Here are multiple web APIs. We will be coming in that section, because these web APIs, yeah, let me just pause that for now. But yeah, what we can do for this week is, and I think this will be a really effective way to learn web development and revise our concept if we have already learned about web development. uh, just keep your username in bootcamp.html section. While submitting the PR, you can you can go to, you can create a list here, and you can just yeah, just write your username and the um, link to your HTML in the similar fashion. You can do that. Let me just clear this out for now. And I advise everyone to have this VS Code extension. I think it's called Live Server. And what it does is, on one click, you will be able to spin up a simple server for your web-based application. I advise everyone to install it. It will be really easier for you. And yeah, on your PR, what you can do is, for example, first create a directory under participants directory here. And for example, I have created here, right? And you can write anything, you can do anything with it, but it will be inside your directory. Just I have created a simple calculator app here. I have integrated, I have yeah, there is script just JS5. I think most of you might know, but some might not know it, so I'm just trying to revise this concept here. Try to integrate style.css. And one thing, I have also kept Tailwind CSS, which we can integrate with their CDN. And I advise everyone to learn CSS as well as Tailwind CSS parallelly. So if you are just learning CSS margin, and if you got the concept of CSS margin top, CSS margin right, bottom, left from here, and just look into Tailwind CSS resources, and just try to see what kind of class, what kind of implementation that I can do in Tailwind also. Just what I'm trying to say is, just learn parallelly your CSS and Tailwind CSS, because it will be really easier for everyone. And yeah, in the later on, while working with React projects, or even in web development, as we can see here, like you can integrate Tailwind with CDNs. Just add this script in your HTML, and just give a simple class name. So someone might be familiar with Tailwind, but if you guys are not familiar, then let me tell you, then it will just use your class name for, you do not need to write manual CSS here. For example, we might be writing our CSS in this way, right? But with Tailwind, what we can do is just write class name for it, and it will work for you. And if you want to write custom CSS, then you can write your config code and just write in this way, like style type text slash Tailwind. And let me show you the simple implementation also here also. For example, I think I might have done this here. Yeah, so I have imported Tailwind script here, and yeah, it's a script from CDN. Basically, we can check this on our network tab also. Let me see. I think, yeah, we can do that. Yeah, and for second half of today's bootcamp section, will be understanding, or let's say debunking, these dev tools. So please stay with me. As I've said you guys, the Tailwind CDN script we have integrated there, and this is the output that the CDN gives us, and we are importing this in our code. So by doing this, what we are we are increasing the bundle size of our code, which might be bad, because it might hamper our speed, or let's say in performance wise, this might not be good also. Because if your project is really simple, and if your project is small, then just writing native CSS will be a better approach here. But if your project is bigger, then it's making your work easier. And definitely there is a way to write custom CSS here. I advise you guys to check Tailwind CSS, and all sort of layouts are here. And yeah, flexbox grid is already defined here. And let me just increase the font. Yeah, all these class implementations are already defined by Tailwind. For example, let me give you an example of margin, right? So in CSS, what you do is you can write margin 0 pixel, but in Tailwind, just give a m-0 class in your code, and it will give it your margin of 0. For example, I have used px10 here, and it will create me a padding in x-axis of size 10 pixels. So yeah, in this way you can integrate Tailwind CSS in your project. And moving back to our this week's challenge, you saw the CDN part of the Tailwind, how it imports this much lengthy code here. This is one of the drawback of Tailwind, but I don't know what's the size of this file, but we can check that later on. Also, yeah, we will also try to understand few concepts of network inspect more, or let's say DevTools in Chrome later on in today's section. But first, let me just describe what project we are doing for this week. For example, one participant can create a simple web-based, or let's say simple web app on their route, right? For me, it's participant slash my directory name and my file name. And for another participant, you can create a okay, it's a double slash here. It's a typo, but we will look into it later on. So another project might be signature pad. So I'm just trying to use Canvas web API here. And also I have told you initially HTML section, while defining the HTML section, let's focus on API section here. Since it's not shown here, but let me show you it in more detail in web APIs, Mozilla's web page. So we will be trying to integrate as much web APIs as possible in our project. For example, I'm using a Canvas web API in this project. Let me show you the code also. For example, out of 2 participants, one I have shown you for calculator code. So this is the calculator project, and it doesn't take much time, and I advise everyone here present in today's session to pick one one way web API to work on, and project managers who are willing to work just assign a single web API to one person based upon their preference and interest. For example, one can work on I have created a list here. Let me just check this out here. For example, one can work on integrating a simple fetch fetch API, or let's say, one can work on fetch API to integrate your get requests from some API that are available in the market. Let me check a simple API that is given by dnd5eapi.com. So it's a Dungeons and Dragons API. It's available free of cost, and you can check on you can work with this API later on while you are working on your projects also. For example, if you go to the spells API, then it will give you, if you try this out, then it will give you in call section you can get request it on this particular API, and it will give you a certain response. And I think the response will be seen if I do try once. Response is here. So for now it's giving only 4 response. So but it depends upon the what kind of header you are giving to it. For example, you can check it out on this link. I will also send this to you on channel. But someone might take over the fetch API tags on this web app. For example, you can have a API fetcher simple web app, and you can use this specific fetch API. And obviously I advise you to understand the concept from given web page, but you can use all sort of resources. And also ChatGPT will be giving you in more simpler format, rather than if you, I know it's a bit more difficult for you to understand from this web page, but simply understanding it's trying to give what kind of errors I can implement in my fetch API, and what kind of requests are there, and what kind of response will be. It's a bit in more detail, but one participant can work on integrating this API, this spell based API, which you will get from /API/spells on this URL part. Integrate fetch API and in a certain project, right? It can be integrate spells, something like that, and you can integrate, you can just have a really simple project on integrating, or let's say listing these spells in tabular format, right? Or that can be done. Or you can also look into other APIs from this documentation section, and you can also integrate. Let me see what can I get. Okay, same. Okay, then monsters API. If you try this out, then it will give you certain, it's giving you 25 monsters response as a result, and you can integrate this in tabular format in your web app. One issue can be that, so someone who is willing to be project manager, just list it out. I will also give you the files to work on. So, and why these web APIs are important is because React under the hood is just using these all web APIs. Fetch API, let's say we will be working on Axios in our future project, or let's say in the days to come, and this fetch API will be the underlying mechanism for Axios. So these things are really important. For example, if I go to another part, then I am, let me just check my list, because this is really detail of and also while working on React. For example, if I want to work on geolocation based project, then there might be a certain library to integrate geolocation in a React app, right? But what they are just doing under the hood is just using this geolocation API, and all these web APIs are talking with our browser. And they are just trying to rather than writing low level languages. And why this is called API is that let me just give you a simple introductory, definition on API. So if you are already aware on API, then for 5 minutes I'm trying to give you so simple, definition of API. I think it's here. So yeah. So what API does is, for example, there is a certain and also I'm trying to define APIs on the basis of web APIs. So the API in web API and API that we have understood till now is just same, right? So what we have understood through REST API is that we will have a backend system somewhere else in in some server. We will have a backend, and we will have a front end in some server. And API are the they are like waiters. They will serve our request from front end, and from back end they will give us response. So we have that understandability of API, right? But in web API, what they will do is, from our web based, or let's say from our client based application, or let's say client side, they will talk with our browser engine, or let's say our browser code, and they will try to access those resources with web API. So for example, what geolocation API does here is, there might be some navigator.geolocation. So there might be some sort of navigator already written by someone in low level code, right? So and it might be, we are not I'm not giving you the more details, or let's say we are not studying geolocation API to be specific here, but I'm just trying to give you a simple concept concept of web API. For example, if I want to know the GPS, or let's say the current position of my client system, or let's say of my laptop, then we might integrate this geolocation API on our client side code. And with this, there can be different interfaces for this, there can be different properties for this. But with this, for example, get current position, I can get the device current location. Or with dot watch position, I can get similar location, or let's say device changes or not, those kind of things. So all these interfaces are already defined in web APIs, for not just for geolocation but for others also. And I advise each one of you to just pick one of the API. For example, someone might pick console API, even if you haven't worked with APIs, web APIs, or haven't worked at all. But I promise you that it's really easier concept, and you can definitely use ChatGPT and all those things. It will just give you in a single line of code. For example, I have integrated Canvas API in the signature pad.html, right? So this Canvas element is also one of the HTML web API. It will help me to write HTML, or let's say to integrate some HTML elements, or let's say to draw canvas in my web based application, by just using canvas id, canvas width 400, and canvas. And this all is a JavaScript code already, right?
Sir.
Yeah. Yes, Aviral. Yeah, so yeah, Aviral, what we are trying to do is, and I'm really sorry because I should have answered you in Nepali, but let's try. Yeah, let me try to answer you in English. So there are multiple web APIs. I will be providing you the link of these web APIs, which are standard defined, industry defined web APIs. Just pick one of the web API from here, but don't pick these. Yeah, also these are all free, and these are the industry standard. Like it's something like building blocks of your web ecosystem, like something like that. So for example, if you want to work with Bluetooth in your web app, or let's say if anyone is writing library to integrate Bluetooth, then they just use this Bluetooth web API. So it works like that. For example, if you are integrating a React application and they have a Bluetooth library, they are using this Bluetooth library to talk with Bluetooth devices, or let's say they are sending signal to Bluetooth device. Then under the hood, this Bluetooth web API is being worked. And all sort of interfaces are there, and if you check the Bluetooth interface, then it will give you, you know, very we can also look at the block diagram here. Bluetooth event target will be there, and what will be event target like. So it will be a constructor, and what methods are there: add event listener, remove event listener, dispatch event. I'm not telling you to just, you know, go in detail of this you know, documentation, because it might take a bit more time, and we have just 1 week here. I advise you to just look in, you know, ChatGPT will be giving us really short and sweet answers, and I advise you to understand that concept. For example, this code also was given by ChatGPT, even though I have, like, you know, worked on similar, like project earlier and with Canvas, but how Canvas works, and sorry for that, Aviral, are you clear with your, like, with my answer? Like, did I
Yes, sir.
okay, then fine, yeah. So for example, one project was simple calculator based one, right? And now what I have kept is, I'm using Canvas API, and with Canvas you can do all sort of things. You can, you know, make games in your web based application. You can, you know, integrate a signature pad. So right here, and multiple
यो के अरे डाइनामिक के भन्छ डाइनामिक डुलहरू बनाउँछ नि यो ई-कमर्सहरुमा के
yeah,
त्यसमा पनि क्यानभस युज हुन्छ नि हैन
yes, I think can you repeat your question once
अनि
again?
मैले एकचोटि युज गरेको थिएँ भन त त्यही ई-कमर्सहरुतिर त्यो हुन्छ नि बिल प्रिन्ट गर्ने बेला के
Yeah,
त्यति बेला त्यही क्यानभस डाइनामिक क्यानभस युज गर्ने जस्तो लाग्थ्यो
I think, yeah, but I'm not sure. So the canvas that I'm referring here is about, like, you know, I can just draw things here, right? Yeah, it's I think, yeah, but this canvas is like just like painting. So you can draw here, and also you can programmatically paint it. So once you programmatically paint it, it will become a simple game. For example, I can create a, you know, bar here, and I can move this with JavaScript by adding event listener. For example, if I press a right key, then this specific canvas will move 2 steps forward. I can write that, like, you know, programmatically. So with Canvas, I have seen a lot of games being developed, and also some industry standard, you know, I think you guys are familiar with a, you know, SaaS based app called DocuSign. So what they do is they sign your PDF, and they are using this, you know, Canvas API under the hood to sign in their PDF. And also, yeah, we can learn about those things in the days to come. But simply understanding web APIs are the building blocks of every web-based application. And someone for this week, what we can do is, don't pick the ones that have these labels. This means experimental. They are, like, you know, their behavior might change, so we are not picking this up. And also, if you are curious, then you can pick this up, but there are not many industrial, you know, industry standard core implementing this, because they are just waiting for that experimental tag or let's say the feature to, like, it's under experiment. I hope you understood, right? But if you are eager, then you can go, because, you know, the early you know about it, the early it will be better, because who knows, you might be writing some library for React, or let's say for Vue.js on, you know, keyboard APIs. So it's up to you, but I really suggest you to go with already implemented web APIs. And also these are already used in most of the web apps, and all the industry that are trying to, you know, recruit some developer. Then they might, you know, want the developers to understand these web APIs rather than library codes, because library code are definitely library code will be easier for to integrate. But yeah, but to understand under the hood what's happening, and, you know, uh, issues in software development will be, some issues will be in such level that you know, library code also might need to rely on this API understanding. So uh, it's better for, you know, for us to revise these concepts and just pick one of the API. And I also have made a list here. Let me just read it out. For example, WebRTC API can be used by someone, or let's say 2 to 3 of you can work on WebRTC and just write on ChatGPT to give you a simple demo WebRTC project, and make sure that your project is not that complex, and it will be a simple just implementation of it. And why I'm trying to advising you to take it a bit more seriously is that because if I for example, I have used Canvas API here, right? And if someone if someone wants to use Canvas API in their code in later on, or let's say in future, if someone wants to work with Canvas, then if I do like more better coding, or let's say if I take it more seriously, then it might help you, and also someone else code might help me in the days to come, like just to take it as a template or just start take it as a starting point. So I think with this collaborative approach we can help each other. Yeah, so moving on our implementation of web API, someone might work on WebRTC API. It's a real-time communication API that for example, you might know about streaming audio and video media in your web-based application. For example, if you want to have video calling, or let's say audio call feature in your web application, then you can use this WebRTC API. And again, just don't go on this early phase of your coding learning to learn from all these guidelines. But yeah, it's up to you. If you want to learn about signaling and how video calling works, or let's say what's the lifetime of WebRTC session, you can definitely go and check this code, or let's say dive into these concepts. And developer.mozilla.org is the place to go. But for this week, I advise you to just integrate a simple project from ChatGPT. Yeah, that is for the project part of this week. Someone might use WebGL. I think WebGL is related to, let me check. Yeah, it's 2D and 3D graphics for the web. Again, it uses Canvas. So project manager just make sure to list these web APIs, and interested ones can assign yourself with that issue, and make sure to have make your project as simple as possible so that it doesn't take much time, and you all just understand the basic concept of the given web API. So most popular ones are you can also search about it in web, but most popular ones are, I think, context API must be your context index, I think. I'm not sure, but Canvas is popular one. Clipboard is popular one. Clipboard means we copy and we paste, uh, like in mobile also there is clipboard, right? So this clipboard API is being used in web also, so you can check that out. Clipboard is a popular one. Credential management API is also popular one, just to have your I think for saving password and working with passwords, something like that. Just try to implement a basic, very simple version of credential management API. Console is another popular one. So concept of console, yeah, window.console, and some API are really they are so simple. For example, though it's not that simple, but on looking and on implementing, just console.log, so you can move into, or you can go deep dive on the details based upon your uh, enthusiasm and interest. But it's a popular one. Compression streams is also one of the popular one. DOM, yeah. So what we are learning about, while we are learning about React, and it's a virtual DOM, but under the hood it's just using this DOM web API, and just writing some wrappers on top of these DOM interfaces. And all these web APIs are these are the industry standard, and this is not for someone's what do we say, no private company owns these web APIs. These are the for example, uh, if you question like who owns HTTPS protocol, then it's like nobody owns them. It's a standard, and it's they write RFC for that, so we can understand these web APIs in that way. And also, yeah, based upon your yeah, it depends upon your what kind of browser you are working with, and what kind of for example, it's a JavaScript based web API, but someone might work on let's say on another kind of browser, then it might be different. But for our Node.js based we are writing on our Node.js based system, then these web APIs are the one that we should be talking with. So yeah, just React uses DOM web API under the hood. You can also just check it out, and like you can just randomly pick any of the web APIs from here. Don't be scared of, like, it's not that complex. Like to just implement a starting and demo application, it's really, there is also a easier implementation of it. So full screen API is also another one. Like we have full screens like in our videos, right? So this API will give you on how to do full screen and how to minimize that full screen. File system API, and I have already talked about fetch API like earlier in the session. To fetch API get request, you can use this, or let's say to send post request. Also geolocation API is also one of the popular one. I think HTML DOM and DOM are interrelated, and React might be using. It's not that React it is just using this too, but it's like using a lot of web APIs and just giving you a better library to work with for integrating web application. And to integrate drag and drop, you can use drag and drop API. So I really encourage you to pick at least one, and just for this 1 week just work on at least one API, and write your code, and just present it in this way, so that you will encourage other participants to write and submit, so that you will have an integrated knowledge of all these APIs. Like for example, you might not learn all these API in 1 week, right? But what we can do from our this session is that one will learn about geolocation API, you will integrate it, and just submit your code here, then someone might learn from you. So in that way we can learn all those APIs at once. That's the concept, and that's the approach we are trying to do here. Yeah, so this is the general goal for this week. I think I'm just talking for a lot, and it's the session is not being interactive, I know that, but yeah, just let me complete this session, and we will try to be more interactive. And also I will try to get your questions if you have any. Yeah, we can see there is a URL API. So to work with this URL, the URL API is there, and it will try to give you only the URL, what do you say, just the URL. This part will be covered by one API method, or let's say yeah, there is some sort of method to just get is it HTTP or HTTPS. So by understanding that concept, it will be easier for you to develop your web app in the further in the days to come. So yeah, for mobile devices, I think it's a vibration API is there. And yeah, all these APIs are here. Just try to pick one up. And also you can I'm also keeping this week's project, or let's say assignment detail in our channel, React Bootcamp channel. And let's hope that many participation will be coming from our group. So let me pause for now about web APIs, and let me go further about yeah, just try to get as many things from W3 school if you are just starting to learn web development. And for those guys who will be have a bit more difficulties to understand web APIs, then you can integrate HTML CSS in this application. I have already told about it. For example, you can make this homepage a bit more better, or you can have a template, a template in this overall project. And also you can do all sort of things. It's based upon you, but make sure to do a bit simple, and don't try to do complex thing at first. Try to just start from simple thing and just try to build upon it. Yeah, so I just complete I think we just covered the half portion, and rest half is dev tools. So I will just give you a simple uh, overview of dev tools. And I'm advising, uh, let me just go to appropriate section first. I think it's the docs one. Yeah, okay. So yeah, I'm also showing you this part here. So this is I will send you this to in channel also. But what we are trying to do is, I have covered this section, right? So uh, what kind of HTML or CSS, and this part has been covered. Generic web dev part will be covered by this section. Yes, please, if you have questions, then let me know. I think I will give you a short introductory session on TypeScript. Let me give you from, again, if you are starting with TypeScript and if you are just learning about TypeScript, I advise you to go from W3 School's web page. It's really simple, and it's just giving you what you need at initial phase. So what I can say is, for now, and I will just wrap this a bit faster, because we are trying to cover a bit more DevTool things here. And also DevTools will be not covered in details, but I will just give you a certain assignment for our knowledge transfer session, which will be having it on, let's say, Friday or Thursday. I'm not quite sure, but what we will do is, just like our web API, for example, you will be coding for this project to integrate web API in our web-based application. But for DevTool, your assignment will be just pick up a simple, specific, if someone wants to learn about commands and shortcuts, DevTool part, then project manager will assign this, this commands and shortcut part will to a specific, or let's say 2 or 3 participants. And if someone wants to study about elements DevTool, and let me just show you simply by the zooming up about it also. For example, in any web-based application, you can use these Chrome-based DevTools to understand about your project. Let's see, if I choose this selector, then this image will be, if I am selecting this particular image, or let's say this particular div, and if I click it, then I can show, I can see that where it's coming from, what kind of class it's being used, right? And I can also manipulate my class, CSS class here. I can also manipulate my margin. If I'm like on selecting it, then it will go to a default, or let's say a non-margin section. So in this way, I can do all sort of CSS, or let's say we will be looking into it in more detail. It's not just that simple. For example, it's for a simple element DevTool section, for example. And what we are trying to do in Thursday or Friday knowledge transfer session is, one of you will pick one of this session, and this will be assigned by project managers. You guys will be trying to just go through this website and just try to look into this commands and shortcut portion, for example, and just go to one of the URL here, and this is a page for run commands in command menu part. And one of you will, so every demo is given here, every video instruction is given here. And I know like everyone is not able to understand all this concept at once, and it will be really time consuming, or let's say we are not able to cover this in 1 week. So what we can do is, one will learn about this particular dev tooling from this page, and every detail and every even a demo web app is given by them. It's Google's website to learn about DevTools, so it's a standard one. You just go there and you just follow the instruction here, and it's a short one, short and simple instruction is given here, and I think it will be covered in just an hour. So just learn about run commands in command menu from here, and I advise you to just learn about it. And in our knowledge transfer session, we will have a 2-minute presentation from each one of you, and you will try to present us about what you learned from this particular page. So run commands in command menu, if someone is learning about run commands from command menu, and it's advising us to, I think, do command shift P, then yeah, this is the one that is trying to teach us. So I'm not going in detail about it, but one of you will learn, and one of you will in 2-minute time you will try to present, or let's say teach us in upcoming Thursday or Friday. The date is not fixed, but let's say it's on one of the day, and you will be preparing a simple, let's say 1-minute demo of running command in command menu. One will be working on that, another will be working on what will happen if you disable JavaScript in your from your Chrome DevTool. Everything is described by them, and the steps are all given by them, and they say that it will show this kind of icon, and yeah, some sort of thing will happen here, and you can research on your own on what's the implement, like why this is showing and what might be the reason and why might this be helpful. You can do that research and present in let's say 1-minute time about disabling JavaScript from your DevTool. Also, keyboard shortcut is really important. We all might want to learn about keyboard shortcuts, but for one who is like picking up this keyboard shortcut DevTool part in knowledge transfer session, then just go through it and just look on what might be important keyboard shortcut that you or we might need in the future. For example, if I want to do normal reload, then I can do command plus R. Just make 5 to 6 lists which are really useful, and just try to bring it up in our upcoming session. I'm really hoping you guys will follow that pattern in our bootcamp. And also not just element DevTool is here, but this section, what it does is that it's trying to show us like element section, how it's useful for viewing and changing the DOM. And by learning about this DevTool, you will also understand about DOM. For example, if you want to view DOM nodes, then you can do, I think, something like that. So this is one of the DOM node. It's trying to refer here. And someone who is we have already learned about HTML, JavaScript, CSS, or let's say web development, then DevTool knowledge is really important, because it's this similar DevTool practice will be needed in your React application also. So whenever you are doing overall web development, not just with React, even if you are doing with Vue, or even if you are working with Angular, or in web development in general, these Chrome DevTools are there for you, and it's a long run, right? So I advise each one of you to pick each one of this section, so that like if you help other participants here, then obviously it's a group approach, so everyone will learn in this way. For example, yeah, every steps are given here, and we are not able to cover this all in our short time, so I'm just trying to give the general direction here. So for example, to view the properties of DOM objects, you can follow this guidelines here. And for example, what it's trying to say is that yeah, these are the properties of your DOM elements, like yeah, I think the properties section is here. So yeah, so why this properties is important, property section is important, and what kind of properties I can see, you can just research upon it, and you can just like for example, if I want to base URL of the given page, then it's shown here. And for example, the attribute style map is shown here. Just don't focus on all these properties, because we might not need, or let's say it might be a bit more overwhelming for us at first, but the more we learn, the better it is, because we never know when this will be come in handy, and when it will help us in our professional web development career. So the more we learn, the better it is, but first we have to start with like basic approach. For example, attribute section, like the title, like just to know about the attribute of this iframe web element, uh, this properties section is like is helping us. So moving forward, this is the element section. There is another section called console section. One of you might take responsibility of run JavaScript in console, and just learn about it and share about your experience in our knowledge transfer session in Thursday or Friday session. So this information that we are seeing here is coming from console part, and this information alone will give us a lot of let's say a lot of clues on how to solve or how to debug our web application. Here it says it's a type error. Private aggregation.send histogram report is not a function, so some sort of you can check on, I think this from source tab also. I'm not sure, but yeah, let me just click on this part, and this is the code that is generating that issue. But let me just be more if I do this thing here, if I copy, if I go to source, if I copy this, and if I sing this, but let's just skip this for now. So all this kind of error message, or let's say this kind of warning messages are shown in console, and we can see from console dev tools. So all sort of information can be extracted from console dev tools. One of you will just take that role and learn about console for our upcoming knowledge transfer session. So there is a source tab also, so it's important for us to it will help us to debug our code. For example, in our basic web application, if there is a concept called breakpoint, and for example in it says file system, right? So if I do again index.html, and if I keep a certain breakpoint here, and if I go to home, or let's say bootcamp section, let me check once again. Okay, I think let me do once again. Okay, so here is my breakpoint, and okay, so I'm not sure, like, yeah, so like whenever the breakpoint part is being triggered, then our code will be paused, and we can see, like, for example, where this code is coming from, or it will be really easier for us to debug, and we can see what kind of local what kind of variables are there, what kind of global variables are being changed, or you can do all sort of things from debug, or let's say the source dev tools. And you can also learn about sometime our issue might be coming from fetch, or let's say sometime it might be coming from DOM. We never know, but by just using debugger mode, we can like understand about it. So it's all given in uh, in this particular dev tool, where we have just, let me just check it. Yeah, so someone might debug Java. You can take this section, debug JavaScript, and obviously I will be also be there to like while presenting, we can do it as interactive as possible, but um, yeah, just try to take a single dev tool feature for a single person. Or let's say if there are multiple feature in our source dev tool, then 2 to 3% can uh, take this responsibility of sources dev tool part. Also there is a network tag part. For example, if I go to our demo project and if I do refresh, then it will show us what kind of network requests we have made. We haven't made any XHR request, or let's say API request, but we have just made a document has been fetched to us, or a script file has been given to us, or a style sheet has been given to us. It's all giving from our type column, and our WebSocket has also been has been integrated. I think it's related to our extension, VS Code extension, which is also this live server extension, which is integrating its own WebSocket to our web application, just to let us know is it connected or not, and it's doing some sort of pulling from our web page. But we can see all these things in our network dev tools, and you can just use these buttons to filter out only fetch or XHR network request. We haven't integrated any network here, but network calls here, but we can see like style sheet is shown. Like if I go to other page, I think other name, or let's say other page will might come here. For example, yeah, if I go to participants page or bootcamp.html page, then obviously the CDN will be called, and we can check how many network time did the CDN took from here, and it's a script, or let's say, yeah, it's a script, and we have already checked it in earlier what kind of script the CDN is giving us. And from waterfall part, we can see how many time did the content took to download, what's the duration, how many time did it took to queue. All these things are really important for our enhancing the performance of our web application. And first we have to understand this concept before going to React. So I again suggest each one of you to just pick one topic from this step tool section, and the web page also, this site also I will be providing to you guys on our channel. And yeah, someone might understand about network activity, inspecting the network activity. And let's say if I go to their demo application, then yeah, they have presented it in video format, and in some cases there are also starter demo project that they have already deployed. So for example, you might not want to integrate your own API to understand network XHR request, right? So for that, the best way is to just use their get starter demo web page. They have integrated there, and they have also given you the steps to follow and go to dev tools. We can do that right now. For example, if I refresh this page, then I can see there is a HTML call, CSS, JavaScript has been called here, right? And also a PNG has been called, but I don't know why it's not. The header is given, like, and this same practice will be used in later on in the production code. For example, our web app might not be working. In this case, we can see the PNG is not been shown, and why it's not been shown, like for request is not found. This means like server is not giving us this particular file. Let me just check this on yeah, I think, yeah, 404 not found. So this means this PNG is not being given by this particular endpoint, or this whole endpoint in general. And this thing is, we get to know about from inspect and network tab, and all sort of what sort of user agent is my end. And there are multiple headers. We can talk about headers, or let's say these are the HTTP headers, or let's say path and methods. These are the request headers. We can learn about it in the days to come. But priority of upcoming knowledge transfer is to not learn about HTTP headers, but to learn about network tab, and how we can see what kind of headers, response headers, what kind of response header can we see, what kind of request header can we see, and how these things matter in our web application. And just I told you that for debugging, for example, we can see this is a 404 not found code, so we can understand that backend is not giving us PNG file, so we can tell our backend team that you are not giving us like this file is not coming from backend, so it's not a front end issue, so it's a backend issue, and we can work accordingly. So like in production, or let's say in actual industry environment also, we can follow this work around there. There is all sort of initiator timing tabs here, and we can learn from network tab. For example, if I do get data, then it's calling a certain header. We can check this from here, devtools.glitch.me/network get started.json. It is giving us JSON file, and it's a fetch type of network request, and it's coming from get started.js file and line number 4. Everything is given by network tab columns. Size is also given here, timing is also given here. So focus is to understand about network tab, not just about network feature reference, or let's say inspect network activity. We can also have view page resources. Let's say for viewing page resources, you can all these tutorials are mentioned here. I hope each one of you will pick one of these and help our participants, or let's say help each one of us to understand each detail. For example, there is analyze runtime performance feature in our DevTools, and how that can be done. There is a performance tab, and from performance tab we can analyze runtime performance. How we can do is that, like, there is a demo app again for this also. It says to go on this following page, this certain web page will be there, and these web pages are specifically developer designed to understand DevTools. So we don't have to write our own HTML, or let's say we don't have to do any sort of coding here for this specific knowledge transfer session. Every coding we will be doing for web APIs, and for this project, coding section will be covered in this part. And to understand our DevTools, we will be going through this this section. And for example, I can mock my let's say if I go to this demo section, then let me try it with, but I think get data is the purpose is to just get the JSON and to understand the timing here. This one was for network tab, but it's already much late. I'm not going to go in detail about this performance section, but you can just simulate your CPU that's slow or network that's slow from this section, and you can record, or let's say you can, if you hit record, then it will give you a certain profile of performance. And if it's performing like, you can just analyze this result, and what kind of file is taking much time to load, or let's say is it is it the scripting that is taking much time, or is it rendering, or is it painting. So in web, so the scripting part might take more time to load, or let's say the rendering part. And we can increase our app performance by by just doing performance deploying. And one of you will pick this performance part also. One of you will pick this memory tab section, where you will understand about how to fix memory problems in your web application, how to record heap snapshot. And in this way, there is another section called application section also. And it's a crucial section because here are all sort of local storage, session storage, and cookies parts are cookies section are here. You can I can clear my local storage. And we haven't discussed about these local storage, or all sort of index DB, or let's say all sort of how cookies work in our web application. We might do that in section in the days to come. But web APIs also have given us on working with cookies, or let's say index DB. For example, I can see, I think in index DB web API, I can learn about how index DB works. And in I think local storage is not given here, but yeah, you can also learn about local storage. It's also one of the web API. I don't know, they might have changed it to web storage also, I'm not sure about it, but I advise you to go after, look about each one of these storage APIs. And there are also background service API, and web API obviously have in code how you will be talking with these background APIs. Background fetch API are there. So I advise you to follow one of the, even if it's experimental, you can integrate a simple background fetch API in your web application for our given project. Just try to create a certain, just go through it and just look into it, how the basic background service will work, how background sync will work, how background fetch will work. So if you want to integrate caching, one of you can pick. So if someone wants to be a project manager for this week, then you can list these projects out. Or let's say if someone who is wants to work directly, and if they are recommending, let's say if you come forward and if you say that I want to integrate a simple background fetch, or let's say background cache in this web app, then definitely you can go to issue section and just create an issue and send a PR, and I will also check it. And definitely we can work together, and multiple participants can work in that way. So these two sections I'm trying to cover here. There are a lot of things in DevTools. So let's just wrap it for now. And so let me wrap today's session here. For this week, we are planning to go with a simple web-based application based on HTML, JS, and CSS, and try to fork this repo, clone it in locally, and try to add your directory on this participant section. Pick one of the web API from your, for example, if you want to work with Canvas API, I think it's already implemented, but if you want to work with geolocation API, just pick one of it. Go to ChatGPT, give it a prompt on how to integrate a simple geolocation API on a web app based in HTML, JS, CSS. Just type that, it will understand it, and it will give you a simple demo code, just like I have used with Canvas for signature. It will give you something like this code. Try to understand it, and even if you but main thing is you just try to understand or just tweak it a bit in your own way. Goal is to like learn at least one. So I think in 1 week, picking up a single web API is not that much of a workload. So just pick one, but understand it in more detail. For example, if you have picked geolocation, then try to integrate that geolocation in your own directory, or just give your name or something, any name you can choose, integrate it in bootcamp list. And once you are done with that, raise a PR, and I will try to I think the issue has already okay try to raise a PR here. I will look into the PR, and I will approve it if it follows through. And it's a very simple project to revise your web development concept, and also most importantly, one of the web API for this week. And let's hope that our other participants or our other friends will work on some other API, so that someone who is learning geolocation will learn our full screen API by looking at the code. So I think in this way we will learn about multiple APIs at once. And once you are done with your code, or let's say web API code integration, go to and project manager who are trying to trying to do it, just they will make a certain different I think in discussion section, or let's say somewhere around here we will be having, I think in project section there is a knowledge transfer session project. And they will write a title, and who is assigned to that title. For example, if you want to learn about application, application dev tool, just pick only one of that, and you will be assigned to learn about application dev tool. And I think Thursday or Friday we will have a discussion in the similar fashion, and you will get, depending upon your dev tool, if you are picking up application and you are picking up multiple section in application, then you will just try to teach us, or let's say give us small knowledge, let's say a screen share session on how you can leverage your application dev tool, what you can do in application dev tool, or you can code here, or you cannot, you even can use this already implemented demo application. For example, I think in source panel also they have their own demo application implemented, or not, maybe they do not have, but in most of these tutorial they have their own web application. Just we just seen it on network activity, right? They have a starter demo here. So based upon that, or you can pick your dev tool topic based upon those that have starter or not. So based upon what's easier for you, you just pick it up, and PM will be updating your in this knowledge transfer session projects, especially project session. And I think in Thursday or Friday we will have another class. I will update it in channel also. And in this week, in this way, we will learn two things majorly. One is web API, and another is Chrome DevTools. Yeah, I think this much for today. Let's wrap this up, and it's already been 10:30. So if you guys have any confusion regarding these specific topics on the web API or Chrome DevTool, let me know on channels, our Discord channel, React Bootcamp channel, or any one of the discussion section channel, and we will try to understand, or let's say whatever can be done, I will try to do there. Yeah, I think this was for this week. My main goal was to give you this project, and once we are finished with this project, then we can move forward on our later on the coming week. We have other session I have planned. For example, for week 1 in knowledge transfer session, I have a DevTools part here, right? Let me for example, in week 1 for knowledge transfer session, that is Thursday or Friday, that session we will be just trying to learn few things here. For week 1 it's DevTool. For week 2 it's we can revisit the web API in knowledge transfer also, depending upon what kind of code we do, or we can learn about JavaScript in general, like mostly JavaScripts, like recent changes, and what sort of syntax does JavaScript have. So week 2 knowledge transfer will be based on that. Week 3 will be based on more on React part. So we will be going on not just React, but we will just slowly going into React. But these open source ecosystem repos will be based on HTML, JavaScript, CSS, or mostly on React. And if we, for example, if you go to documents, so yeah, let me show you what can be done and that, but we can discuss this on days to come. But just let me just give you a just brief introduction here. We will be going into their repo, like documents. So it's a React based web application. It's all, I already showed you the Canvas API, right? And we signed it there. So they are just implementing Canvas in their web application, and they are already a multi-million dollar industry. So that's a huge thing. So it's a React based application. We will try to have, in that case study knowledge transfer session, one of you will pick one of such repo. For example, if you pick documents or repo, then you will try to see package.json file, what things are mentioned in package.json. You will try to clear us out why turbo.json is being used there. You will try to understand why license, like what sort of content is written in license. You will try to uh, give on the same knowledge transfer section. You will try to cover this section, like why .npm-rc is written here, like why it's necessary. So that's what case study open source ecosystem means. It will be covered in week 3, and prior to that, in our tutorial session, we will also try to cover a basic understanding of all these files, and uh, on about file structure, or let's say how React app is structured, and why git ignore is essential, how to give ESLint RC. All these things are like, we will not learn these things in like this light project, right? Because it's a simple JavaScript, HTML, CSS based website. But once we go to React, then things get a bit more tricky and complex. Even though under the hood, uh, these files are being generated like under the hood by after compiling and being all sort of transformation. This is the simple file that comes at last. But even though things get a bit more complex and tricky in React, so we will try to pick this repo early hand before learning React. And while learning React, we will be trying to learn about software development patterns in 1 week. And in 1 week knowledge transfer session, we will be looking into react.dev official documentation website. They have all sort of they have clearly all sort of tutorials and documentation already mentioned. So this is the plan for coming weeks. Last week will be a wrap up session of all these things, and obviously our project, we will be having a certain project for. So for week 1, we will be integrating web APIs. For week 2, for JavaScript, we will be having a different project. We will be making a JavaScript based JavaScript heavy. By only using vanilla JavaScript, we will be making a certain project, some sort of uh, basic engine or something like that. And week 3, we will be following up this week 1 core web based project, or we will be continuing with the week 2 project. And in patterns.dev, this week 4, we will be having a different project, or we will be integrating these software development patterns in week 1 or week 2 project. uh, that's up to us. So in this way, each week we'll be having a different projects. So make sure you are ready for that also. And yeah, for PMs who are trying to get into project management in future, or wants to have some experiences of project management, and we can also you can also like learn project management along with React. So just to manage GitHub repo, like how to raise issues, titles, and who to assign it with. You can learn about it in our bootcamp also. If you are interested, then please let me know. Yeah, and based upon your projects, and based upon your based upon your involvement, based upon your knowledge transfer session, um, we will be having the companies, or let's say internship opportunities, might be coming in future. Once the companies see your involvement, since it's an open source platform, then if you want to work on React, then obviously they will be looking into your already what do we say, like already implemented activities that we have done in similar ecosystem. So yeah, I think, yeah, and I advise everyone to have a LinkedIn, and also you can update there as a trainee at Ors 45. You can do that, so that it will be better for your CV, and you can have an early hand industry exposure there by just assigning yourself as a trainee. Or let's say if someone is doing project management traineeship, even if multiple people come as a project management, wants to involve in this project as a project management, then you can come, because it will be easier for someone who is development, or you can do both things at once. That's not a big deal. So I think this much for this week. And yeah, thank you everyone for staying for till now. I think already we have multiple. Yeah, so thank you everyone. If you have any question, and also I'm really sorry for having this session in English, because let's see, I think Skondesh is from India. I think is present here or not, but and also some participants were from India, so I thought it will be easier for them to understand it, and also it will be better for me and you also to understand, to go with from like talking in English is better in industry wise also. And please let me know what things I did bad, or let's say I missed today, and what can be done better, and in coming session I can you know I can make that thing better. So yeah, I think this much for today's session. If you guys have any sort of queries, then please let me know.
Hi.
Hello.
So thank you very much for the session. I just wanted to ask that we are free to choose any web API that we like, right?
Yeah, obviously. Any web APIs from the given section you can choose, but make sure that you will be, letting other participants beforehand that you will be working on that web API, so that it will not collide. Or if it collides also, then two people can work on the same API, but on a single directory. I think we can do that way.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, awesome. So was today's session a bit more, complex, or let's say someone who is just starting web development? How did you like? What's your opinion on that? Or did it become more, very basic? Like, so it be more technical, or what do you think?
अलिकति गाह्रै नै लाग्यो बुझ्नको लागि।
ओके, ठिक छ। अब त नेपाली बोल्यो नि हुन्छ होला, त्यो सेसन चाहिँ अलिक गाह्रो भयो सुबे के अरे कुन्दन तपाईँलाई? के कुरा भन्नु, सबै कुराहरू कि
होइन जस्तो अब यो वेब हेर्नुपर्छ जे पढ्यो नि
डेभ टुलको कुराहरू? डेभ टुल त त्यही हो, त्यस्तै होइन, त्यही हो कि त्यो गाह्रो नै त नभनौँ होइन, तर बुझ्न चाहिँ
बुझ्न चाहिँ गाह्रो।
इभन मलाई पनि अब त्यो मैले पनि मजाले सबै बुझेँ होइन, तर सबै कुराहरू बुझ्न चाहिँ पर्छ, चाहिन नै एकदमै चाहिन्छ, किनभने त्यसले टाइम धेरै सेभ गर्छ होइन। अनि अब सानसानो बेसिक कुराहरू मात्र थाहा हुन्छ अहिलेको लागि, तर पछि जति त्यो सबै बुझ्यो त्यति नै टाइम सेभिङ हुन्छ। त्यो कुरा त मलाई पनि अब अहिले पनि लगभग अलि धेरै एक्सपिरियन्स मान्छेलाई पनि गाह्रै लाग्छ। त जस नौलो चाहिँ तपाईँलाई मात्र भएको होइन कि सबैलाई नै गाह्रो हो क्या, त्यो कन्सेप्टै त्यस्तो हो क्या। हजुर अविरल, के को नि यसको ए ल म यसलाई राख्दि यहाँ राख्न खोजेको, के अरे यसले अर्कै फर्मेटमा पेस्ट गरेँ क्या। केमा हालिदिने? ए ल छ म हालिदिइहालेँ। हेरौँ है त, एउटा च्यानल, स्पेसिफिक च्यानल रियाक्ट बुटक्याम्प भन्नेमा हालिदिन्छु ल। यसमा हाल्न चाहिँ हालेको छु, तर यसले कस्तो अर्कै फर्मेट बनाएर देखायो क्या, यस्तो टेक्स्ट बनाइदिरहेको क्या, त्यही भएर हो। तर छ नि त, छ यहीँ मेसेज डट टेक्स्ट ए हो ल, हुन्छ ल हुन्छ।
सुन, मेरो एउटा क्वेसन थियो हैन।
हजुर,
हामीले
यो जस्तो मैले सपोजको लागि फेच एपीआई युज गरेर कुनै बनाएँ हैन प्रोजेक्ट लाइक स्पेसिफिक कस्तो खालको प्रोजेक्ट चाहिँ बनाउनु पर्ने बेसिक भन्दाखेरि अब जस्तो मैले सपोजको लागि एउटा र्यान्डम डग डिस्प्ले गराउने प्रोजेक्टहरु हुन्छ नि फेच एपीआई युज गरेर त्यसको लागि हामीले जस्तो डगको एपीआई चाहियो हैन त्यो त्यसमा प्रोवाइड हुँदैन नि त हैन
त्यो चाहिँ हुन्न फेजले त सिर्फ तिमीलाई कसरी त्यसलाई त्यही डगको एपीआईलाई चाहिँ कसरी युज गर्ने मात्र भन्छ हैन त्यसको लागि चाहिँ मैले त्यहाँ एउटा डन्जन्स एन्ड ड्रागन्स भन्ने त्यहाँ एउटा लिंक देखाइदिएको थिएँ नि ओ यो छ नि ओ यो यसले डग हैन मोन्स्टरको छ क्या अहिले चाहिँ यहाँ चाहिँ यो
मैले 2-3 वटा त बनाएको थिएँ फेजबाट जस्तो सुपर हिरो र्यान्डम डिस्प्ले गर्ने अनि डगहरु डिस्प्ले क्याटहरु त्यस्तो टाइपको बनाएको थिएँ अनि जियो लोकेसन पनि हामीले फेजबाटै गर्न नि सकिन्छ नि त हैन त्यो सर जियो लोकेसन हैन वेदरहरु
मिल्यो
भनेको त्यस्तो प्रोजेक्टहरु पनि गर्न सकियो फेजबाट
सक्यो मजाले सक्यो त्यो अब कसले प्रोवाइड गर्यो फ्रीमा एपीआई चाहिँ त्यो आफैले अब यो मैले प्रोवाइड गरेको पनि राम्रै हो हैन यसमा चाहिँ पेजिनेसनको कुराहरु अनि अलि धेरै एपीआई मै अब हुन्छ नि यो सब क्लास अनि इन्डेक्सको कुराहरु पनि छ यो पनि यो अलि कम्प्लेक्स कन्सेप्ट भयो तर सिम्पल फेज युज गर्ने लिस्ट गर्दिने अझ बेस्ट त टेबलमा लिस्ट गर्दिने हो भने टेबलको कुरा पनि बुझिन्छ फेच एपीआईको कन्सेप्ट पनि बुझिन्छ के त्यो गर्दा चाहिँ ठीक हुन्छ जस्तो लाग्यो
अनि यो जस्तो हामीले एउटै पर्न सक्छ भन्दा कि हामीले आफै डिसाइड गर्नु अहिले नै कि
यस्तो गर्यो भने यो रियाक्ट उसमै हाम्रो च्यानलमै म यो एपीआई मा जस्तो यो रियाक्ट बुटक्याम्पमा चाहिँ आफूले चाहिँ कुनमा गर्ने वेब एपीआई चाहिँ यो डेभ टुल्स चाहिँ यो भनेर लेखिदिने हो भने चाहिँ कोलाइड हुन्न होला कोलाइडै भए पनि दुईटैले मिलेर गर्यो नि भयो झन् मजाले सिकिन्छ तर यहाँ चाहिँ एकचोटी सबैले लेख्दा भयो म यो वेब एपीआई को चाहिँ बनाउँछु भनेर यो पिक गर्छु भनेर यो रियाक्ट बुटक्याम्प भन्नेमा
हुन्छ अनि यो युट्युबको त्यो चाहिँ अनलिस्ट भन्दा पनि उसमा पब्लिकमै राख्दिनु होला
ए अनलिस्टमा ह
हैन छ कि छैन त थाहा हो
ए ल हुन्छ
जस पब्लिकमै छोड्दिनु भनेर
ल डेभ टुल्सको चाहिँ अब नेक्स्ट विक हाम्रो यस्तै सेसनमा हरेकले सानो 2-3 मिनेटको स्क्रिन शेयर गरेर अनि जस्तै नेटवर्क ट्याब कसैले गर्छ भने चाहिँ म नेटवर्क ट्याब चाहिँ यस्तो यस्तो रहेछ डिटेलमा त्यही भएको डेमो सकेसम्म त त्यही भएको डेमो पढ्ने अनि त्यही भएको डेमोलाई नै बुझाउन खोजेर चाहिँ अरु केही गर्न पर्दैन धेरै कुरा त्यहाँ त्यो डेमोमा जे छ त्यही बुझाइदिने हो त्यही हो कि एउटाले नेटवर्क ट्याब हेर्छ एउटाले एप्लिकेसन ट्याब हेर्ला एउटाले सोर्स ट्याब हेर्छ गर्दा गर्दै सबैले सबै बुझिन्छ भनेर त्यहाँ जे डेमो छ त्यही नै बुझाउने हो तर सिर्फ के रे हाम्रो स्क्रिन शेयर गरेर हो है त्यो चाहिँ फ्राइडे गर्नु पर्ला जस्तो छ
अनि अर्को एउटा क्वेशन भन्ने चाहिँ जस्तो तपाईले यो प्रश्न मैले फर्म गरेको थिए यो जुन हाम्रो यन्त्र लाइट छ नि त्यसको जुन बेसिक ल्यान्डिङ पेज छ नि त्यो पनि हामीले नै कन्ट्रिब्युट गरेर गर्नुपर्ने
हो यो चाहिँ वेब प्रोजेक्टको लागि हो डेमो रिपो
भने त्यो अहिले यो विकमा हालेर गर्नुपर्ने
यही विकको लागि हो कि यो चाहिँ फर्स्ट विकको लागि फर्स्ट या 2 विकको लागि चाहिँ वेब बेस्ड एप्लिकेसन सिक्नको लागि जस्तै मैले चाहिँ यहाँ क्याल्कुलेटर बनाएँ चाउचो सुपमा अनि यता सिग्नेचर प्याडमा मैले एउटा क्यानभास एपीआई युज गरेर बनाएँ अब तिमीले चाहिँ पार्टिसिपेन्टमा आफ्नो नाम लेख्ने फेच एपीआई भने फेच अथवा नाम लेखे भयो एकउन्टा वेब एपीआई सिक्नको लागि चाहिँ एकउन्टा यस्तै सिम्पल .html प्रोजेक्ट बनाउने अनि कन्ट्रिब्युट गर्ने पीआर रेज गरेपछि चाहिँ मैले रिभ्यू गर्छु अथवा मैले अर्को कुरा पनि भन्नु लाग्थे यहाँ पीआर रिभ्युअरहरु पनि कोही यदि कसैलाई पीआर रिभ्यू गर्ने इन्ट्रेस्ट छ भने पनि त्यहाँ खबर गरे त्यो च्यानलमा अनि अथवा सबैलाई छ भने पनि रोटेसनमा सबैले पालो पीआर रिभ्यू पनि गरौँला लाइक कोडिङ मात्र गरेर नि सिकिन्न पीआर रिभ्यू गरेपछि दुई जनाकै त्यहाँ कुरा अलाइन भएपछि बल्ल मर्ज हुनुपर्छ नि त सो भर्खरै सिक्दै कोही छ भने नि रिभ्यू गर्दा मिल्छ के मजाले
एक्चुअली मेरो क्वेसन चाहिँ के थियो भने यो जुन यो अगाडिको ल्यान्डिङ पेज छ नि भनेको यो उता बनायौँ हामीले होइन जस्तो यो यन्त्र लाइटको जस्तो होमहरू कोलाइड भएर आएको छ तपाईँले अघि भन्दै हुन्थ्यो नि त न्यापबारहरूलाई मिलाएर पनि गर्नु भन्न खोजेको
त्यही हो मैले 00 छ कि यो भने हैन यही छ नि यस्तो हो के यहाँ चाहिँ अब सिम्पल एउटा प्रोजेक्टमा हैन सिम्पल एउटा सिम्पल पेज भयो होम पेजै भयो हैन कसैलाई होम पेज लाइक कसरी अब न्याप कसरी राख्ने यो हिरो सेक्सन बनाउन पर्यो कसैलाई फुटर सिक्न लाइक एउटा होम पेज राम्रो बनाउन सिक्न मन छ भने यसलाई सकेसम्म यहाँ सेन्ट्रली अलाइन गर्ने त्यो उसकै अब इच्छा अनुसारले चाहिँ एउटा इस्यु चाहिँ यो पनि यो प्रोजेक्ट यो पनि पिक गर्न मिल्यो हैन वेब एपीआईमा म अहिले जान्न अलि अप्ठ्यारो लाग्छ भने अहिले म वेब एपीआईमा जान्न म चाहिँ सिर्फ एचटीएमएल सीएसएस सिक्नु भन्नेलाई चाहिँ के अपर्च्युनिटी छ भन्दा यो बनाउन मिल्यो अर्को बुट क्याम्पमा गएर यहाँ ब्याक बटन पनि राख्न मिल्छ अनि त्यही न्यापलाई ओभरअल प्रोजेक्टलाई नै न्याप राख्न मिल्ने पनि एउटा त्यो टेम्प्लेटको लाइक फिचर पनि हुन्छ जस्तै यहाँ पनि त्यही न्याप त्यहाँ पनि त्यही न्याप अघि मैले देखाएको थिएँ नि एडब्ल्युएसमा यो न्याप त्यहाँ पनि यहाँ पनि छ अरू पेजमा पनि यही न्याप र यही फुटर हुन्छ सो यो फिचरहरू चाहिँ वेब एपीआई बाहेककोले चाहिँ गर्न मिल्यो अनि यस्तै अब केही थप्न मन छ भने थप्न पाइयो यहाँ टेबल बनाइदिन्छु भने उसले टेबल बनाउनु पायो मेन भनेको अलि आफ्नो कम्फर्ट जोनमा चाहिँ हल्का एक स्टेप अगाडि गएर केही मैले नयाँ कुरा सिके जस्तो अनुभव हुन्छ भने चाहिँ त्यो गरेर राख्नु जस्तै अब वेब एचटीएमएल सीएसएस सिकिसकेकोलाई यो गर्दा अलि केही सिके जस्तो नलाग्ला वेब एपीआई राख्दाखेरि अलिक च्यालेन्जिङ हुन्छ भने चाहिँ वेब एपीआई राख्नको लागि चाहिँ यहाँ प्रशस्तै राउट्सहरू छ एउटा राउटमा चाहिँ एउटा वेब एपीआई राखिदिने अनि त्यही नै हो के त्यसरी नै सिकिन्छ जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई चाहिँ अनि पछि यही कोड काम लाग्छ क्या आफूलाई जस्तै मलाई क्यानभस गर्न मन लाग्यो अथवा केही गर्न मन लाग्यो भने अनि अथवा कसैले मैले अलरेडी गरेको क्यानभसमा अलि राम्रो बनाउन खोजिरहेको अथवा त्यही कोही सीएसएस एचटीएमएल गाईले अब वेब एपीआईमा गरिदिने कि अब यही क्यानभस कोडलाई नै म हल्का सेन्ट्रली अलाइन गर्छु त्यसलाई मलाई रिसाइज गर्ने बनाइदिन्छु अथवा केही गर्नु एनिथिङ जे पनि आउन सक्छ हैन एउटा चाहिँ पिक गर्नु पर्यो एउटामा काम गर्नु पर्यो त्यो चाहिँ यहाँ गिटअपमा पनि अपडेट गर्नु पर्यो अनि एटलिस्ट एउटा विकको लागि यो विकको लागि चाहिँ एटलिस्ट एउटा पीआर भयो भने चाहिँ ठिक हुन्छ जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई चाहिँ
लास्ट एउटा क्वेसन
ए हुन्छ
हामीले यो टेलविन्डलाई चाहिँ किन प्रिफर गरेको
बुटस्ट्र्याप चाहिँ हराइसक्यो के मार्केटबाट
जसरी बुटस्ट्र्याप 5 मा त अनि डाइरेक्टली भ्यानिला जाभास्क्रिप्ट युज गरेर अलिक फास्ट बनाएर छ
ए हो र त्यो चाहिँ थाहा थिएन मलाई
बुटस्ट्र्याप 5 चाहिँ भ्यानिला जाभास्क्रिप्ट छ जस्तो पहिले सायद जे क्वेरीमा थियो हैन फोसममा बुटस्ट्र्याप 5 चाहिँ अहिले भ्यानिला जाभास्क्रिप्ट युज गर्दो रहेछ त्यसले गर्दा अलिक फास्ट छ
यस्तो हो
डकुमेन्टेसनहरु यसरी हेरेको थिएँ
अब मैले चाहिँ यही टेलविन अलि पपुलर छ धेरै जस्तो प्रोजेक्टमा टेलविन नै मजा युज भयो हामी त पछि अब अरू प्रोजेक्टहरुमा जस्तै डकुमेन्ट्स एउटा प्रोजेक्टको एक्जाम्पल भयो हैन यस्तै अरू प्रोजेक्टको एक्जाम्पलहरु हुन्छन् हामी त यिनीहरुले चाहिँ धेरै जस्तो टेलविन नै युज गरेर हुन्छन् यसले चाहिँ कुन युज गरेर आएको रहेछ हेर मैले टेलविन गरेर छैन क्या गर्नु पर्ने हो
ओभरअल त टेलविन युज गरिरहेको हुन्छ त्यही त पहिला जस्तो यो जाभास्क्रिप्ट सरी बुटस्ट्र्याप युज भइरहेको हुन्थ्यो हैन त्यसपछि फेरि अहिले त लगभग टेलविन युज गरिरहेको छ
हैन यस्तो अब बुटस्ट्र्याप सिक्न मन छ भने चाहिँ बुटस्ट्र्याप गर्दा नि भयो जे गर्दा नि हुन्छ टेलविन चाहिँ मैले रिकमेन्ड गरेको हो हैन सजिलो पनि छ अब क्लास मात्र राख्दिए भइहाल्छ अनि त्यही हो कस्टम सीएसएस पनि लेख्न मिल्यो अनि खै अब इन्डस्ट्रीमा अब कसले धेरै जुन युज हुन्छ त्यही गर्दा फेरि चाहिँ अनि हुन्छ नि अब हामीलाई सजिलो पनि हुने अनि एउटा सर्टेन कुनै एउटा जब स्पेसिफिकेसनमा टेलविन सिक्यास भन्छन् अनि सिक्यो भनेर पनि पाइने त्यसको लागि पनि हो कि हामी त अब अलि के अरे जब रेडी पनि त हो नि यो बुटक्याम्प गरेको त त्यो भएर नि हो नि 2 घण्टा पनि लामै हुँदो रहेछ सेसन त स्ट्रिम चाहिँ यता इन गरिदिन्छु जस्तो लाग्यो युट्युबमा मैले त्यही त युट्युबमा नि गरेको कस्तो